Match 2 against a Hermit Witch, apparently. So a green deck, black deck, maybe. Sounds good. I mean, I've got my Nantuko Husk, and I can drain my opponent for a bunch of life with these zombies. Black Cat can keep them off their plans, hopefully, whatever those plans happen to be. Yeah, it's just a reasonable hand. Hopefully it makes for some interesting gameplay. So here we go. Leading off with Swamp, we're on the play. Our opponent is playing a Forest. So yeah, at least green in the deck. We'll see what their plan is. We're drawing the mana we need. That's beautiful. Get the Black Cat out there. Nothing too exciting yet, of course. Our opponent on Forest, so maybe actually just a mono green deck. No plays off those two forests, though. Okay. Well, we're going to run out the Nantuko Husk in case of some sort of combat trick. So that we don't lose value on our Black Cat. And then we're going to jump into attacks and hit them for 1. Nothing fancy on their part, though. Yeah, so that looks to be about that. Hopefully we see some play from them here. 3 forests into an Orchard Spirit. Okay, so they're going to the air. We can't really interact with that thing at all. Hopefully we can force it to block our Husk, although that's highly unlikely. So we'll just let it come in and play around it for a little bit. Not the land that we might have hoped for. That leaves us unable to continue our curve into these nice big zombies, which would make combat this turn way more profitable. We could still attack. Certainly we could attack with our Husk, but if we're attacking with our Husk, we might as well attack with both, since we're sacrificing our cat either way. So yeah, let's just send both our guys in. If there's no blocks, which I kind of expect, then we'll just deal the 3 damage and move on from there. Had he blocked the Husk, we would have sacrificed the cat to pump the Husk to kill the spirit. Had he blocked the cat, we would have just sacrificed the cat to deal 4 damage to him and trigger the discard. Oh, shoot. I just clicked through my turn, which means that I don't get to play my guys. So that was a mistake. Shouldn't be too much of a big deal, though, especially if I don't draw land here, honestly. The opponent deals the 2 damage that we expected them to do. Even if we had played a blocker, we couldn't have blocked the Orchard Spirit. It has flying, or close enough to flying. And our opponent has a big ol' 3/3 boar, but they didn't manage to activate Morbid on it, which is good for us. Okay, drew a Swamp, which is nice. Get into play. Now we can play our Vengeful Dead to make all our sacrifices a little bit more powerful. And we can attack with everything. Opponent thinks about it. He does decide to block the Husk. Smells a little bit like a combat trick, but we're already in for the penny, so might as well be in for the pound. We'll sacrifice the Black Cat, pick our opponent to discard a card. They get to toss a boar. Now, what's coming? Is it a giant growth or something? No, they'll just take the damage there. Okay, very nice for us. Had it been a giant growth and his creature became 6/6, we still had the option of sacrificing our zombie to make our Husk also 6/6 to trade off with his board. That might not have been the worst plan. Obviously, it would have been better had we remembered to play a creature the previous turn, because then we could have been sacrificing that instead of our last blocker. Anyway, none of that happened. He didn't have a trick. So so we're good. The opponent has a Dawn Treader Elk. A little late in the game for them to be ramping, so we're not too worried about that. We'll just let it come. Do they have anything else? Are they going to immediately activate the Elk's ability? What is going to happen next? They decide it's still worth dealing us damage in the air. I don't blame them. I think that's the only way that they can win. But we keep drawing the mana we need, so things are looking good for us. Put another Vengeful Dead. This way, any of our sacrificed zombies are now draining our opponent for 2. We'll move to attacks. And we'll attack with both of our guys. We know our opponent didn't have a trick last turn, so that makes this attack feel a little better. Our opponent blocks our zombie guy. Now, we could sacrifice our zombie guy. That would put our husk up to a 4/4, but it would leave his elk alive. I'm totally happy with the elk dying. Our opponent's going to get drained for 2 when our zombie dies anyway. So as much as we're not doing what the deck is designed to do, which is to sacrifice creatures, in this particular case, I still think that was the correct choice. When all's said and done, our opponent is reduced in board size and in life, and they really need to find a play here quick. Anything too loose that they play is going to get killed by our revival. Another elk from them just allows us to repeat the same thing all over again, so that's not helping them out. I imagine they're still going to feel like they need to swing with the Orchard Spirit? Yeah. That is the correct choice. They need me as low life as possible so that they can try to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat with something here. But as it stands, I'm just going to play out my dudes to give myself some sacrifice potential here. The black cat can remove one of those last cards from their hand. Okay, if I attack with an Nantuko Husk and it's not blocked, I think I win. Right, because I can sacrifice 3 zombies to make my Nantuko Husk an 8/8, and that'll deal my opponent exactly 11 damage. So he has to block my Husk. And since he has to block my Husk, I might as well attack with the zombie too. Yep, that makes sense. So I'm just going to go over that again, just because it's kind of an interesting thing. So remember that my zombie guy here, he drains the opponent for 1 life every time him or another zombie dies. So because both of these things are zombies, that's a zombie, and that's a zombie. If my Nantuko Husk isn't blocked, then what I do is I sacrifice first these 2 zombies, and finally this zombie. The sacrifices all drain my opponent for 1, so it ends up at 8 life. Then, because each of these sacrifices has boosted my Nantuko Husk by 2 points of power, it has 8 points of power, which is enough to kill my opponent. My opponent can probably reason through that, which means that he has to block the Nantuko Husk, probably with the Dawn Treader, definitely with the Dawn Treader Elk. And once he does that, I know he's not blocking the Vengeful Dead, so I might as well swing in with the Vengeful Dead as well. So that's where we're at here. So you guys think about this. He's going to, I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I imagine the AI is going to, okay. So the AI did not see that risk, or otherwise has a card in hand that makes them think it's not a huge worry. I'm going to lean on them having not seen it and just go for the here. And I'm going to do it, I know the clicks are bad, but I'm going to do it with the mouse pad just to make sure I don't screw it up. So we're first going to sacrifice the black cat. And the reason we're sacrificing the black cat is that if my opponent has a trick, they almost certainly have to play it in response to the black cat. Because there's a 50-50 chance that they would have to discard any trick that they have. So we'll see the trick now, and we can lean off. See, yeah, they had a giant growth. So the giant growth is going to target the Dawn Treader Elk almost certainly. That's all I needed. We're going to finish letting this Dawn Treader Elk resolve, then we're going to let the black cat resolve before we do anything else, just to make absolutely sure here. So 1, 2, 3, the giant growth resolves. 1, 2, 3, the black cat resolves, and then we're going to stop time again, just to see where we're at. Right now, we have, I believe on the stack, the ability of the Vengeful Dead. Once that resolves, with my opponent having nothing in hand, my opponent should be down to 10. I'm just going to make sure that's true. I'm going to let this continue and make sure the next thing that happens is my opponent goes down to 10. This is still me trying to figure out this interface in some way. Yeah, there we go. So my opponent just got drained to 10. Oh, and there's another thing on the stack as well. There's the Nantuku Husks going to 4-4, but that doesn't matter. Now everything's going to work out. Now I'm going to sacrifice the Shambling Ghoul, and then wait till my opponent gets drained to 9. There you go. Now with the opponent at 9, I can sacrifice the Vengeful Dead. That's going to take my opponent down to 8. And then we're going to see the Nantuku Husk go to 4-4, then to 6-6, then to 8-8. Then combat damage will be dealt, and my opponent will die. So that seemed awfully complicated, I think. It certainly felt complicated playing through it. In paper, that wouldn't have been hard at all. Like, that would have been easy to resolve. I was just making sure that everything worked out well with the program. But yeah, you can see, once again, how powerful this Aristocrat strategy was. Just out of nowhere there, my opponent took 11 points of damage and was dead. So that was a fun match. Thanks for watching.